So today we have a special speaker. She comes all the way from New York, and she has been a friend of this home for a long, long time. So for those of you who don't know about her, I'm going to read a little bit about her. So her name is Jussara Korngold. She is the founder and president of the Spiritist Alliance of Books. And for those of you who don't know, this is a nonprofit organization which has the mission to promote and disseminate the Spiritist philosophy in English. Ms. Korngold is also the founder and director of a Spiritist group in New York, which is called the Spiritist Group of New York, located in Manhattan. She's also a writer and author of 3 books. And she has been translating materials for a long, long time. Not to tell her that's her age, just... I was like, when I said that, I was like, just to see how long she has been here and helping us in bringing these teachings to English in the U.S. She's currently the vice president of the United States Spiritist Council. And she, in her personal life, she volunteers in the Office of Brazil Child Health in New York. And she's one of the main executives there. So with a very big virtual hug from all of us, please help me in welcoming Ms. Korngold.
So good afternoon, everyone. And we are very happy to be here, to be at the Spiritist Society of Virginia, feeling blessed with the possibility of working with the spirits, the benefactors that are responsible for this home, for this house, and also with our benefactors. We know and we understand, and especially today talking about mediumship, we know how much we depend on the help, on the guidance of the good spirits. It would be wrong on our part to believe that we do this work alone, and we hope that they are really here to help us and to guide us in our studies. Mediumship is a topic that fascinates us all. Actually, I've been studying and working in mediumship groups for over 30 years. And I never cease to be amazed with the amount of knowledge, experience, and comfort we can receive from mediumship. We know that mediumship per se is not the only important point in terms of spiritism, but it's the one, and we should never overlook this fact, that gave us the opportunity to receive the Spiritist doctrine, to receive those the knowledge, the guidance that we have been receiving since then. We are going to be starting, of course, showing some basic aspects because this is supposed to be like a workshop. So we will start from the very beginning, showing some basic aspects, and then we'll go a little deeper in terms of the knowledge of mediumship. So, of course, when we talk about mediumship, we cannot talk about mediumship without talking about the Medium's book, which is the book for each and every one that wants to further down to understand the aspects of mediumship. There we will find a safe guidance for us to understand more about mediumship. It is exactly in the book of the Medium's book that Kardec places for us this statement, explaining that we are all mediums. And regardless whether we will be having or not ostensive manifestations, in a way, we are all, to a certain degree, capable of being receiving the thoughts, the ideas, the influence of a spirit. And in this sense, we can tell that everyone is a medium, and actually the one that says that is Kardec in the Spirit's book. Unfortunately for us, it's very hard for us to know whether we are ostensive or not. It will take a while for us to find out about it. even when we are not consciously registering the thoughts of the spirit, it doesn't mean that we are not communicating with them. All of a sudden, an idea comes to our mind. Was it ours or somebody else's? We don't know. And what if it's somebody else's? If it's a good idea, we can embrace that. If it's not a good idea, then of course the best course of direction would be for us to remove that from our thoughts. But this is actually the way the spirits can bring those thoughts to us. And of course, by looking at these two little guys, we can see that the more we open our antennas to a better reception in terms of attuning with higher, more elevated thoughts, the more we will be capable to register those thoughts and to embrace the ideas the spirits may bring about us. And we know, like also in the Spirits book, the spirits say that the influence of the spirits upon us is much greater than we think. It can be scary, right? In a way, we have to be really watchful in terms of with whom we are going to be attuning. Is there any way we can identify mediumship? This is something, a question that many of the newcomers will even ask us or perhaps wonder, how can I know if I'm a medium? Well, Kardec said that there is no device until today, 2014 as well, that we can tell for sure whether a person has mediumship in the sense of producing constant, visible results along their lives. Like we said before, we are all mediums in terms of being capable of attuning with spirits. But to produce significant results, to be able to do that on a day-to-day basis, not everyone actually comes with that. And we will see that regardless of age, sometimes mediumship can appear very late in life. It doesn't mean that because we are at a certain age and we still have not presented any kind of manifestation that it cannot come further on in life. So what are the levels of the Spiritist communication? We have what we call the subliminal level, where is when we say that everyone is a medium. We can capture the ideas of the spirits. We can perceive perhaps a presence. I don't know if it happens with you, but sometimes you look around, you are so sure that there is someone in the room, but there is no one in the room, and and I imagine many people may go through that. That's, what I can imagine. I cannot tell for sure. So this is the subliminal way that the spirits have to come to us. Like, we are doing a work, we are trying to develop a new research, and all of a sudden, that bright idea comes to us. That bright idea not necessarily belonged to us. It was whispered in our spiritual ears so that we can actually connect and receive the inspiration, or even when we go to sleep. And the other one that is more related to what we are going to be talking today is what we call ostensible or ostensive mediumship, where really we will have a regular set of manifestations in any types of mediumship that people may present. So how is mediumship present in our everyday lives, in like this subliminal level, for instance? It can be when we are helping others. Sometimes we go through experience that we have a friend that comes to us or call us in distress, and you start talking to this friend, and all of a sudden the friend says, you know what, you said exactly what I needed to hear. And you do not even know how those words came out of your mouth. This is what we call subliminal or mediumship, or how we can be helped by the spirits in our day-to-day life. when we do things, when we can help in a certain way, or especially in giving advice sometimes. Gossip, criticism, is excessive eating, smoking, alcoholic drinking. It's us also connecting with spiritual forces on the type of the ones that we do not want to connect. So our thoughts are going to be attracting spirits that will think like us, that will feel, that will present emotions like us. So very rarely we will be by ourselves. There is always, like I say, a plus one, at least, that you do not know that is around. Yesterday I was Spirit Society of Baltimore. I was saying that even when we invite people home, we have to be careful because we do not know what kind of, plus one they are bringing from the spirit realm. So you say no plus one in this house, right? So it's the spirits that we are going to be attracting, also depending on our good behavior, our bad behavior, and not necessarily we are aware of their presence. We are aware that we have been a channel to them or to their desires. So it's something that we have to think about it. How does mediumship appear? Many times it will appear in a very spontaneous way. It doesn't need to be theatrical or, especially when we are talking about children. Sometimes, the adults are the ones that are going to freak out. The child sometimes is very normal, or certain things. The child and then the teenager and in the adult life. Those things start being so normal around you that you do not think anymore about this being something that can bring a sort of disturbance to you. But other times, when we are talking about trial mediumship, it's a different story. Thank God, trial mediums are not that many. But those are the type of mediumship, or people that sometimes we see talking to themselves in the streets, and unfortunately they were not guided. They do not have knowledge to learn how to deal with that. So they have a very open possibility, and if they do not know, they do not learn how to channel that, it can be very disturbing. If we think about the mediumships of Chico Xavier and even Divaldo, not saying that they had trial mediumships, but saying, how hard it can be for you to have ostensive mediumship from an early age, very ostensive, we all know how hard it was for them to endure this in childhood. Chico's parents thought father thought he was crazy. He was beaten every day by his mother-in-law. Divaldo was taken to the church. The mother was, really mad with him, and going through all that. And even today, sometimes, once Divaldo told me that he in those travels that he goes, in many cases he cannot sleep on the pillows that are there, especially if they are hotels, because he starts seeing or perceiving everything that happen in people that put their heads in those pillows. And it's really, can you imagine that? We think, wow, Divaldo does beautiful work, and I wish I could be half of what he is, but it comes with a price. So very ostensive mediumship, it's kind of hard. So if you are average mediumship, be happy. It's good. You don't need to go that. And especially at the beginning, where we do not know how to deal with that. And we can even be institutionalized, because people will think you are crazy. And especially in this country, that there is not such a general knowledge about mediumship, it can be really dangerous. So what are the signs and symptoms of mediumship? Mediumship can appear whatever place, age, social condition, or gender. So we cannot say that it's something. Sometimes people say that it's more related to sensitive personalities, and that's why we see more women mediums than men. Not anymore. You know, we see men mediums. Actually, the two examples that we brought they are men, right? It's something that is not accurate. Again, age, it can start as early as 4 years old, like we have the examples of Divaldo and Chico and so many others, to 55, 6, like we have the example of Emanuel Swedenborg, that he started having this mediumship, tremendous mediumship at the age of 55. Regardless of where we are, adolescence, youth, mature age, it can come and manifest at home, religious temple, spiritist center. Mediumship existed forever. There is only one thing that did not exist before Kardec, the word medium and mediumship. Before, they called something else. Medium and mediumship were words coined by Allan Kardec. So everyone today that you meet that even do not know anything about mediumship and talks about mediums or mediumship, they are quoting Kardec. Isn't that beautiful? Without knowing, we have to make them know that those words came from Kardec, came from Spiritism, okay? So the sign may be like unexpected emotional reactions, apparent sickness, shivers, moral or physical indispositions, excessive irritability, moody, aggressiveness, sleep disturbances, insomnia, too much sleep. And now we are all thinking, oh my God, I'm a medium. Right? At least 2 or 3 of that I fit in this category. Well, we may be all of that without the help from the spirits. But of course, what we have to understand is that when the spirits approach us, they come with their personality. And if you're talking about a needy spirit, a suffering spirit, or even an obsessor, they will bring, their feelings, their emotions, and they are going to reverberate in ourselves. And so all of a sudden I may be moody, not because I feel this way, but because the atmosphere, let's call it this way, the energy that is surrounding me is going to induce me to this kind of symptom, for instance. Even to begin perceiving the uneasiness that they may present in their, let's call it, physiological spiritual body. So this is why, the approximation of spirits may bring us a good sensation sometimes, and may bring us those sensations that we are describing. We have to pay attention to them. We have to analyze to see whether they are related to any, perhaps even medical condition that we can have, or psychological condition, or if it's actually something that comes from a third party. Nourishment disturbance as well, we have to pay attention to that. So, one thing that we have to make it very clear, because people sometimes are afraid of using their mediumship because they say it can make you feel ill, or it can disturb your physical health. The thing here is that everything, all the bodily disturbances we may present, will only be temporary. Because the disturbances they are not actually ours, they come from, a spirit. So we cannot say that the act of manifesting a spirit can jeopardize our physical, emotional, psychological health. It's not related, there is no relation to that. It's just temporarily we may feel, that the unbalance of the spirit. But of course, on the other hand, when we are receiving inspiration from elevated sources, from higher level spirits, it's a totally different story. Actually, when we have the opportunity of experiencing that, you don't want it to stop. It's true bliss. And you don't want it to get back to earth, so to say, because the energy they bring, the cleansing that they promote in you, it's something extraordinary. So it's the two sides of, working with mediumship. The classification of mediumship. It's we know when we learn from the Spirit's book that we have physical effect manifestation and intelligent effect manifestation. We will be talking about the two of them. Okay, am I going too fast? I remember once then Daniel said, Jussara, you went there in the podium and you geared the first one and you just went all through the way. I don't know if I'm doing that again, but I always remember that. Do you remember you told me that? Yes, engatou uma primeira and just went there. Okay, physical effect manifestation. Can a spirit act without resorting to a medium? It can act without the medium being aware of it. In other words, many persons help spirits to produce certain phenomena without even suspecting it, from the medium's book. So this is what it means, physical manifestation. When things are going to happen that everyone can follow, you do not need to be a medium. So if this glass all of a sudden starts, floating around this room, everybody's going to run away? I hope not. We are talking about mediumship then. We are talking about a physical manifestation. Everyone will see whether you are a medium or not. But for this to be produced, it needs someone to give the source for the phenomena to happen, which is what we call spiritual energy ectoplasm. And there are many people that may be capable of providing that without knowing. So let's say if this starts happening in our home, our first thought may be, well, there's someone here that has a mediumship of physical effect. Not necessarily. It may be your neighbor. It doesn't need to be you. They can go, in the neighborhood, get the necessary energy, ectoplasm they need to produce the phenomena. They bring to your home and they will do that. Chances are that they will go to the closest place possible, and it can be actually someone in the house, but not necessarily. So phenomena such as, the tilting of table. So what they describe here, physical manifestations are those which result in effects that are perceptible to the senses, such as noises and the movement of displacement of solid objects. Some are spontaneous, independent of any human will, while others can be artificially induced. In this case, meaning we can set up a seance, like they used to call a meeting, where we are going to be inviting mediums that may be prone to produce extra ectoplasm, and we will wait if the spirits are going to be using those mediums to present a manifestation. This is how Spiritism was born in this country with Sister Fox. Okay, when the phenomena, the knockings start happening, the communications of the spirit, that the knockings, for instance, is physical manifestation. Everyone can hear the knocks, and someone is providing the ectoplasm for that to happen. So regardless whether we are medium or not, everyone will see. Everyone will be able to witness that. So we have another example is spiritual sounds, or pneumatophony as they called. We will hear the voices of spirits. So if that was the case, instead of Jussara being talking, you could be hearing voices in the room talking, and giving us this course, maybe in a much better way that I can give. But anyway, they are not here talking, so let's go with Jussara. And again, we could be very scared, right? But can you imagine that we are talking about those experiments that they were doing at a time that we didn't have, the technology that we have today. Today, if we go to a room and voices start talking, you have to put the room apart to be sure that there is no device, no apparatus, provoking or being used in a hoax, right? But at that time, they didn't have anything. They didn't have this kind of technology. And they would have like trumpets. They would have the materialization of a throat. And from this throat materialized, and you would hear the voice of the spirits. It was amazing, all the experiments that were conducted in this case. The direct writing is another form, another example of physical manifestation, mediumship, where you just will leave a piece of paper, you leave the material that the spirits need to write, and you can even lock in a drawer. When you open the drawer again, it will be there. It will be a physical manifestation. The Spiritist magazine had a beautiful cover of a fantastic physical manifestation of that painting from Abraham Lincoln that we call Precipitation. They had the canvas, they had the paints, and the painting of Abraham Lincoln just start appearing from nothing. And they have witnesses of people that saw that. And if you look carefully at the painting, you do not see any brushes. People can analyze that, and we will see no sign of brushes. So this is what is called mediumship of physical effect, as well as the materialization of spirits. Of course, at the beginning, that was very important for the whole movement to call the attention of people, bringing people from all over the world together to see if they could witness those kind of seances. One of the most famous known worldwide is that of Florence Cook, and that she would manifest the spirit of Kate King. This is Florence Cook, and this is Kate King, and this is the spirit of Kate King completely materialized. And Sir William Crookes, and we are talking about a Sir, right, that was awarded this title by the British Empire, right? He came to the point of analyzing the hair and the blood of the spirits, and came to the conclusion that those were not the same of that of a medium. So for 3 years, he conducted even physiological experiences with the spirit of Kate King, and he proved that they were not one and the same person. It's amazing when you go through and you read all those researches. The mediumship of intelligent effect. When we talk about intelligent effect here, it doesn't mean that you have to have a degree to be a medium. You may have no degree that well. You can be even illiterate, and you still can be able to produce writings, in using your mediumship. It's because they are going to be talking more to our senses. It's going to be reaching more our intellectual capabilities in terms of analyzing the messages, in terms of how the spirits are going to be communicating. So it's the spirit that is going to be transmitting, like it says here, intelligent communications. One of the most known forms of intelligent manifestation is psychography, or as we can also call automatic writing. It's a very good one, very simple, and very convenient because we can keep the records. It's very easy for us to keep the records and to have the whole message later being studied, analyzed, transform it into books. I mean, nowadays we can always, record the messages, the psychophony, but it still is something that it can be very compelling because, like, for instance, the handwriting of Chico Xavier can even be that of the deceased person. And even the signature sometimes were exactly the same of the deceased. So it is also an extra form for us to have, to be certified that is a message from that kind of a spirit. So the communications are the ones that are going to be lasting. Psychophony or trance mediumship is another form of intelligent manifestation, when the spirit is going to bring a communication through a medium. And it can be a spirit that is a needy spirit, it can be an obsessor, it can be a highly evolved spirit. And so this is another way that we will see this kind of communication. Another forms of intelligent effect mediumship, hearing mediums. We will hear the voice of the spirits. And sometimes when we are talking about hearing, not hearing the voices that everyone will hear, but sometimes just you hear the voice. So this is intelligent effect. If everyone in the room hears the voice, then it's physical manifestation. So the person, and it's very hard, especially again when we are talking about, people that are not aware and do not understand about mediumship. They can easily be institutionalized as suffering from a mental illnesses. We are not saying that mental illnesses do not exist and that you cannot hear voices. They are the product of your brain, of a certain chemical imbalance that you may present. What we are saying here, that there is also this possibility that we have to analyze. It can be mediumship, but it can be an illness. We have to analyze this carefully. Mediums of trance communication, that the one that we just presented to you, those that can speak under the influence of spirits. Seeing mediums, we call seeing mediums because the seeing mediums are the ones that mostly they see things with their eyes closed, which is different from clairvoyance. Clairvoyance, they see things with their eyes opened, and they are not mediums. They present what we call anemic or a psychic phenomena. It's not mediumship. So that's why we clarify here, saying that using this terminology to separate and to be sure that we are talking about two different things. Inspirational mediums that are going to be receiving, of course, thoughts, inspiration from the spirits, presentiment in the same way. Sometimes you receive that very clearly, and sometimes when you decided not to follow the presentiment that you received, you will see that, oh my God, I heard that, I knew I shouldn't be doing that, and then we go this way. In the book, In the Domains of Mediumship, which in my point of view is the second book that we should be studying related to mediumship. Of course, the first one is always going to be the medium's book. We see the preparation that both incarnates and discarnate alike, all those that have this silver cord are incarnates participating in the talk that the spirit is giving in the spirit realm. So here, this mentor is saying that mediumship in itself is not enough. It is essential to know with whom we are connecting. So when we are talking about mediumship, we have to be very careful, because to communicate with the spirits may be even a not so difficult thing to do. The problem is, with whom do I want to communicate? What kind of spirits I want to bring close to me? And always remembering that, when we invite certain spirits to our side, not necessarily they can go away. They may like to be lingering or hovering around us. So when I was young, I still like it. I don't know why. I mean, now I know why. I used to love to watch movies about vampires. I loved vampires. It took me a while to realize why I loved vampires so much. And I'm going to share with you, I think you already know, but immortality was something that always attracted me so much. I mean, how come they can live forever? I wanted to live forever. I mean, their life was amazing, except, from the part of the negative part. But I mean, living forever, being capable of witnessing the changes in history. So that was what attracted me so much about vampires. And thank God with Spiritism, I don't need vampires anymore. But if those who know their ABC about vampires, if you don't, I'm going to tell you. Vampires cannot get into your house unless you invite them to come in. So they come to your door, you open the door, and unless you say, please come in, they cannot. Well, inferior spirits is the same thing. We may or may not invite them to your spiritual home. And when we do that, it doesn't mean that they can leave when we please. They will leave when they please. And that's why the mentor here is saying, Alberio actually is saying how important it is for us to think about this kind of mental connection. One of the services that we have in the Spiritist group is actually the mediumship meeting. Because Spiritists understand that mediumship is a precious tool for us to serve, to evolve, and to promote evolvement for others as well. This is the reason, and this is the way we Spiritists see mediumship. Not to do readings, not to show that we have a special talent, but as an important tool for evolvement. If we have received this ability, this gift, so to say, it was for this purpose, and this purpose alone. And so, understanding why mediumship is so important in a Spiritist environment, we are going to use our mediumship to serve. So we will be in contact with spirits that are suffering, with needy spirits, with spirits that are feeling just thoughts of revenge, with spirits that can be spiritually attached to people, or that can be, like we call also obsessors, or even mentors. And each time we get together to do that, we are learning tremendously from that, from the experience. The spirits tell us that first of all, when we put ourselves, we assemble ourselves like, you see here. Let's talk a little bit about this group. Okay, this is a group of people that is described in the book in the domain of mediumship, where 10 individuals join together every week to conduct their mediumship group. They arrive earlier. The meeting is supposed to start at 8 p.m. They arrive earlier. They start connecting with the benefactors. They start doing, prayer, good readings to be more in sync with the spiritual forces that are there, aware of the everything that will be happening there. The spirits that are going to manifest are spirits that are related to the group or to the people that attend the Spiritist meeting. Sometimes we may think, oh no, they are going to be bringing spirits from Brazil here, for instance, to be assisted in our mediumship meeting. Why? There are so many spirits around here where we are related to the participants of the group in terms of, coming to study meetings, spirits that are related to us, that are related to our family members. And this is very important for us to think about. So when we are talking to each one of those spirits in a mediumship meeting, we are talking to spirits that somehow are connected to the Spiritist Center, through us, through our family members, through the participants that are here. So they are not strange to us. Many times they have been here attending meetings, hearing, participating on the studies for a long time before they manifest. Another thing that we learn from that is that the messages that the spirits, let's say that we are talking with a suffering spirit, a spirit that has committed suicide, for instance. At least one of these 10 individuals here may have committed suicide in a previous existence. And somehow it still brings the hurt, the trauma, the frustration to accept this error that it has committed in previous lives. When the spirit now of the suicide starts talking, and the spiritual counselor starts, having this dialogue with the spirit, the words that will be very much, many times, inspired by the mentors that the spiritual counselor is going to be saying will touch also the soul of that person that still needs healing from a suicide that it committed 3 incarnations ago. So we all go through a process of catharsis in this moment without realizing. And the beauty of that is the spirits, the mentors responsible for the mediumship meeting, quite often will bring cases that are related to our past and that can promote the healing of our spirit as well without us knowing. It's so fantastic. So many things that happen, in behind the scenes of a mediumship meeting. So we see here they are completely committed to the what is going to happen. And now we are going to be talking about a little bit about what actually happens in a mediumship meeting. So they are about to start, it's 5 to 8, but it's not because they are about to start in the physical plane that the spirits are not already there. We know that they came very early that day. They prepared the whole room. And to them, there are no walls. Okay? Nowadays, we are learning about that through quantum physics, right? This is just, light and shadow, how we perceive things. There are no solid matter, right? But at the time that this book was written, that was an absolutely breakthrough in terms of, concept. So the spirits are beginning to be brought in the room to be assisted during the work of the night. And regardless whether the spirit is going to manifest through psychography or psychophony transmediumship, they still are going to be assisted. Normally, for each spirit that manifests, there are 5, 6 or more receiving the same kind of treatment. It's like, they have a union, and you have the representative. And so all of them have the same problem. All of them will benefit from the same kind of conversation, but just one talks. So sometimes people say, what's the benefit of having a once a week mediumship meeting to talk to 2 or 3 spirits? It's not 2 or 3. And, along the way, we are going to be celebrating next month 13 years of mediumship meeting. And so I made, I love numbers. I started making calculations of how many spirits we may have attended during this 13 years. It's over almost 4,000 spirits. I mean, when you begin, it's 3 or 4, but after 13 years, week after week, just mentioning the ones that have manifested. If you multiply that for 5, 6, 10 sometimes, you say whether this was not, an important thing or not. So we always like to start our meetings with prayers, because not only we want to acknowledge and to show our gratitude for the spirits that are there, but also to start helping us all to connect, and to connect with the mind of the spirit that is going to be the one responsible, the guide of that particular meeting, a specific kind of meeting that we are going to be having. In the book, Andrea Lewis is handed this little device here that is called the psychoscope. Because, not all the spirits can have a 20/20 vision. Okay? You have to be more elevated to be able to see 20/20 in the spiritual world. And even if you have some knowledge, you still are going to be presenting some short-sightedness or whatever, that will prevent you to be able to look at someone and to see everything, all the colors that exist around this person. So the mentor here hands this device to Andrea Lewis and to his companion, colleague Elario, to be able to look what actually is happening in the mediumship meeting that he could not see. And he is completely amazed. It's, very much like if we could see here the wavelengths that cross this room, ultraviolet, violet light, infrared. Our world would be shown to us in a completely different color. I myself, I like to say that before I knew all this, I started having all this knowledge and understanding this knowledge, I used to see the world in black and white. Now I see in colors. Because everyone has a special color now. I look at people and I see people in front of me. I don't see just someone that has passed it. I start thinking, what is her story? She has such a contagious smile. It's a beautiful smile that you have. And I'm thinking here, who is she? How is her life? And so, the world gains a different perspective. We see the world different. So when I first read this chapter about the psychoscope, I said, oh my God, that must be amazing for us to be able to see the colors and what, even the thoughts of people. And they were giving a very important experience to Andrea Lewis, because he could see how connected and harmonious the whole group is, and how important it is for the group to work like this. Yes?
Is that similar to the aura photograph?
Can you speak louder, please?
Is that similar to the aura photographs that people take?
No. The aura is the energetic emanation of our physical body, related to, the energies, to the state of health, to what we call the etheric body. The emanations of the spirit is a different kind of, let's use the same word, aura, but better yet, not to use the same word, of energy. So we can see 2 things. I can see the first layer that I can call aura, that is completely related to my mental health and my physiological health. And I can see the energy that is related to me as a spirit, with my story as a spirit. So what he was seeing here is not the aura. He could be seeing the aura as well, but he's seeing more the vibrations of the thoughts, the spiritual history of each of the participants.
It's the Holy Spirit symbol, isn't it?
Sorry?
Holy Spirit symbol, that they are, like Jesus said, you will receive the power of the Holy Spirit, and then they have that.
Yes, the connection, how we open the chakras and are capable of, being more open to connect and to attune with the spirit benefactors. So this is what we see here, and that's what he was saying. So let's see how it happens in terms of a communication. So here we have a spirit. Okay, and a spirit basically is composed of what we call a spiritual body, that is the perispirit, like the word that Kardec has coined, and something that we do not know how to describe, that is actually the spirit, that is this flickering star that we have here. So this is the thinking being. This is the one that accumulates all the knowledge throughout eternity, right? As incarnates, we have a physical body, we have a spiritual body, and of course the spirit as well. When, that's going to be blinking now, yeah. When we are communicating with a spirit, what happens is, we kind of emancipate, get a little out of body here from the physical body, and our spiritual body, spirit, is the one that gets into communication with the spiritual body, spirit. So the message goes from this to this, and then to the physical body. This is one of the reasons why we do not remember dreams. Because when we are sleeping, although we will have always the connection through the silver cord with the physical body, the mind, the body that is participating in the sleep experiences, is the spiritual one. The brain is here. So this brain here that is going to be retaining the memories is not direct participating in the event. And that's why, sometimes it's so hard for us to remember, because, he was not invited to the party, right? Okay, he was not direct participating and going through all the processes of, that we have to go through, that our brain goes through when we are, doing something. So here we have a first case of communication that we call conscious communication. There are 3 different ways of us receiving intelligent communication from spirits. The first one is the one that we call intelligent, the conscious communication, which means the medium will have the remembrance, will have the knowledge of what is happening. Somehow it is participating even beforehand. For instance, if I'm talking in terms of psychography and I'm a conscious medium, the idea will come to my mind even before I start writing. All of a sudden it's like, whoa, the water is about to come, and we get ready and start writing the ideas that you somehow is conscious of. Of course, it's hard because it's not those ideas, and when it finishes, but you are even receiving that before. So in this case, in the conscious mediumship, the medium most of the time perceives the presence of the spirits, know that the spirit is going to communicate, and is already prepared to receive the medium. What is very interesting here, especially when we are analyzing mediumship in view of spirit, according to the Spiritist view, is that many people may say, "Oh, I refuse to give my body to a spirit that resembles someone like this. It's going to contaminate me. It's dirty." The Spiritist embraces that opportunity. And if we think about it, there is no better way for us to be in touch. And I always say that if you want to be sure that you are in a mediumship meeting and you want enlightened spirits to be present and to help you, there is no other way than to do that. And you see here, for one disturbed spirit, we have a very enlightened spirits and other benefactors helping. So we have 3 for one. I remember that when we had that experience, the opportunity to go to Lily Day with Divaldo, and Divaldo made a beautiful presentation there talking about mediumship. And there were many representatives of the spiritualism church. And there was this man that came to talk to me, amazed, because it was the first time that he had heard about, this kind of mediumship. And how we could be channeling, using their words, his words actually, channeling, needy spirits, suffering spirits, obsessors. And I was explaining to him that, if you wanted to be sure that you're really communicating with the spirits you think you are communicating, do this kind of work. Then you can be sure the good spirits are going to be there, because they will be always present when there is charitable action happen. And this is charity. This is it can be very hard for the whole group to have mediumship meetings, to have those connections, to feel the burden of, having the energy of a spirit like this present with you. So this is more or less how the communication happens. We will see here, and this drawing is absolutely amazing. And I never tire to thank the Projeto Imagem em Ação for the beautiful work they do. I share all the material that I have, except those because they are copyrighted, and I want them to be capable of producing more and more material. It's really amazing not only how they are capable of capturing the images, but at the same time the quality of the drawing. So here we see perfectly well what happens. We have the physical body, the medium detaches a little bit, and is going to be making the connection with the spirit communicating through this body, but always going through the physical body and always controlling the mind of the spirit. That's why the spirit's not going to come and say whatever the spirit wants to say, but the medium is always in control. If we are not in control, it's because we do not have still enough knowledge and understanding how to work with mediumship. That may be certain exceptions, like we said, in cases of trial, mediumship can be a little more difficult to deal with, but even then, there will be the control. So this is a spirit that is going to be manifesting through this medium, and he's going to be telling his story, which is an amazing story that you can read in details of course, in the book. And he had a sudden death, and of course he is because of the sudden death. He is completely unaware of his situation, and he's suffering. He lacks understanding about spiritual life. He lacks understanding about what has gone to him. And look at this drawing here, how the medium reflects to her features the intense disturbance or emotions of the spirit. But there is something very important in this drawing here as well, and this is at the level of details that I say that those people that do these drawings are fantastic. Not only we see each one of the participants here connected to the higher forces, but we see that from this one to this one to this one to the medium, there is this connection. And why is this so important? Many times when we participate in a mediumship meeting, I say, "Whoa, wow, but I'm not a medium. What am I doing here?" Okay. Everyone is important in a mediumship meeting, even if you do not have an ostensive mediumship. Actually, some people sometimes I can be very, very naughty girl. And people come to the Spirit and no, because I'm a medium and I wanted to participate in the mediumship meeting. I said, oh, yeah, really? Okay, but we have a list of, rules or regulations, requirements for you to participate. But I have to tell you in advance that the last item of the list is for the person to be a medium. What? Yeah, we are, like Chico Xavier used to say, mediums are like grass. The more you pull them out, the more they come. So we don't need mediums. And even people that sometimes do not present any sign of mediumship, if they start participating in a mediumship group, all of a sudden, wow, it can become the best medium of the group. Okay? What we need is people committed, serious, that have at least the basic knowledge. You do not need to have PhD in mediumship, and you can study mediumship for 60 years in this lifetime. It's still not going to be enough, because they all are unanimous in saying that mediumship lasts several incarnations of study. So regardless of how long we can study now or how long we can have the experience in that, it is still not going to be enough for us to understand all the mechanisms behind it. But to understand the seriousness, to understand the purpose, to have the commitment, to have the discipline, to know that even if I'm not a medium, if I'm there, I may be the one propitiating the ectoplasm, the energy, for the medium to be capable to receive this communication. So we are all extremely important. The easiest task in the mediumship meeting is that of the medium. Just sits there and get into trance, and no big deal. The others have to be full-time concentrated, praying, donating love, donating energy, aware of the whole thing, communicating with the spirit. So it's we may have a misunderstanding in terms of putting importance in one person or another person in terms of mediumship. Like, for instance, it's thanks to the whole energy that all the participants are giving that the spirits are capable of putting this kind of screen that is composed of ectoplasm energy, so that the needy spirit may see what happened to him, and in seeing, the last minutes of his life in a live screen, will actually help him to understand what has happened. The reason this spirit came to this mediumship meeting is because there is a young woman that used to be his girlfriend that came to the center, seeking for assistance because she perceived that she was still connected with her. And like I said before, the spirits that are going to communicate are the ones that are coming, that are being brought to the Spiritist Center through us, through participants, through situations in the family life. A different way of transcommunication is the unconscious mediumship. Chico Xavier was an unconscious medium, which was fabulous because he would get into such a deep trance that people could not have any doubts as to the result of the communication. So beginners in terms of mediumship, they want to be unconscious mediums because they say, oh, in this way, I cannot doubt myself. It's very hard. It's the most difficult thing. You will always be doubting yourself. I always say, if you are in the mediumship meeting, you do that work seriously, and all of a sudden the ideas or the spirit comes, how can you doubt? If you are outside, it's a different story. But if you are here, that's why we always advise people to practice mediumship in a mediumship group. Because it's the only way that you can know that you are protected, that you are receiving assistance from the good spirits, and that you can be in a safe environment. But the unconscious mediumship, as we say, see here, the exteriorization of the person is almost entire. She can participate even in helping the spirit to accommodate better and to give the communication. So she will have no recollection after the communication. So the unconscious medium is not consciously participating and will have no recollection of what has happened, but still is always capable of controlling the thought of the spirit on the spiritual level. So again, it requires understanding, it requires training, it requires knowledge. There is also what we call the semi-conscious psychophony or psychography, when sometimes, you are in between. You can, you detach more than the conscious medium, but not as much as the subconscious, the unconscious medium. So here they present what they call a very deep trance that can be used, the word somnambulism as well. There is one of the people that were participating in the meeting that was suffering a very difficult persecution from a spirit that used to be her father in a previous life. And this is a beautiful story. We learned so much from it. I'm going to summarize because we really want to talk or focusing on the part of, more on the theoretical part. But this woman here, she was the only daughter of this man, and she fell in love. Of course, and he was a very wealthy man, the father. And the candidate was an unscrupulous man. The father advised her not to be connected to this man. But of course, and because of how he was, the boyfriend, he lured her to kill the father. And so they start giving to the father, little doses of poisons, so not to be perceived by any doctors. And we are talking about the 15th century here. Of course, was not going to be perceived by any doctors. And he died. She married the boyfriend, and everything that the father advised her against came true. The boyfriend ripped her off all the money she had, left her alone, and she wound up having a very, very difficult life. From that moment on, the father was already connected to her as an obsessor. Here they are in another incarnation. Do you have any guess who the boyfriend is? The husband. And now, see how life is interesting and sad? The poor woman still suffers terrible attacks from the father. She's the one that goes through these attacks, through this emotional, psychiatric commotions. And the husband is just there, withstanding all that. Can you imagine how many friends or family members came to this husband and said, why don't you leave her? Just put her in a hospital, in a mental institution, and let her be. He is more guilty than she is. We are never in a situation, be it good or bad, by chance, without merit or the marriage. So here you have him, not understanding what is going on, suffering the process with the loved wife, what loved wife goes through. But all this burden, all this suffering that he goes through, apparently because of her, he could get rid of that. He was the one that planted all of that. And if he gives up, he will have to make amends in another way, in a different way, but it will come to him. He's not there by chance. It's something that's why sometimes I like to present this case, because it gives us a more understanding about the situations that we may go through in life. When we have a family member that can be more problematic than another one, and for us to understand it's not there by chance. I have something to do with that. I have lessons to learn from that. I have to grow, in dealing with all that. So, yeah, the case is gone. And we always like, the prayers and how we can associate with the spirits and connect and receive through these ideas of mediumship as well. The possibility of attuning, even when there is no words, we can feel the presence and the peace and the comfort they bring to us. Are you guys tired? You need to stand up. We wanted to go through a little, go more. I can stop here. I can go more. Whatever you decided. Huh? Go through. Yeah? Okay. Okay, let's go. Yeah, feel free to go sit and get a sip of water or stand up if you're tired of, being sit on the chair. Let me get some water. Remember the first case that I said the girlfriend went to the Spiritist center because she was feeling that the boyfriend was around, the first case that was presented here. Here is when the things begin to be interesting. We always emphasize that the work of a Spiritist center do not end when we close our doors. They don't stop. We may stop, but they don't stop. The work continues. And if we did our share, we did our part, what are they going to be doing with all those spirits that appear there or communicated? They have to be taken to special places. They have to be dislocated. Sometimes they will stay in the center, but they have to be accommodated. So to them, the work goes on, and that's why we always say how important it is for us to keep our thoughts, the level of conversation elevated after we finish a meeting, because we may have finished, they have not. They be patient with us, but let not abuse from their patience. And so the work continues in the sense that the spirit comes to the mentors and Andrea Lewis, saying that they still need to provide some assistance to that spirit whose name is Liborio. Okay? And they took him to an infirmary, to the hospital. But what is happening now? Do you know who this woman is? The girlfriend. She cannot leave him. Actually, she's the one that is obsessing him. So now he went there, he was assisted. They were able to disconnect him from her. But she's furious. Who took my love away? And she complains about that. Why you're leaving me? Why you're abandoning me? Why you're not at home anymore? And she becomes very jealous when she sees the works and there is another worker, there is a woman there, and oh, you are with this other woman. So this is so important for us to think about it. You know, she came there for assistance, but she's the one. What? She's sleeping. You see, because here you see the silver cord. She's incarnate. So this is the typical example that we learn in terms of obsession. That is an obsession from incarnate to discarnate. When you cannot let the person move on, go to the light. You know, here in this case, she is the one that now will be in need of treatment. What they have to do now is to protect him from her. Can you imagine that? So let us, think about it and see if we ourselves do not get into situations such as this one. So, certain things about mediumship. There is no one mediumship more important than another. Say, oh, this is a strong medium. In which way? You can have a tremendous mediumship, be able to move all the glasses that are here at one time. For what? If it is not serving for a common good, if it doesn't have moral in it, you're just wasting your mediumistic possibility. So here, mediumship is not measured by potential in terms of the faculty you are presenting, but in terms of what you are doing with that. And you can do a lot with just a tiny flickering flame if you are persistent in the work. And of course, if you start like a tiny flickering flame and you continue like that, well, in the future you may grow into something bigger. But it's like this. It's a gift that comes always from God. I cannot say that's why we always use mediumship for free, because it's not ours. It comes due to the grace of the Father. What we are going to be doing is that. And of course, the difference sometimes is that we may find people that are more dedicated than others, and who have self-abnegation, who are going, and so in this sense, we will say this is a better medium. But because of the qualities, because of the use they are doing, and not because of the potentials they may have in terms of mediumship. Truths about mediums and mediumship. Not everyone possesses the same level of involvement. So the achieved experience acquired throughout many incarnations varies with each individual. It is also a question of attunement between the medium and the communicating spirit. People who possess more extensive mediumistic faculties are not the chosen of the divinity. So to think that we are special, Emmanuel is very, very clear in saying the ones that have mediumship are the ones that are more in depth than the others. So he doesn't use half words. He says it very clearly for us not to have any doubt. You were so much in trouble that you begged for the chance to do something to be able to get rid of that shadowy past that you had. And then they say, mediumship is an alternative. Do you like it? Do you want to do it? We embrace it. We say, yeah, it seems so easy, right? It seems so easy at first. Actually, there is a story in one of the books from the Brazilian Spiritist Federation, on the course, of the systematic course, that they tell the story of the spirit, that they come to him and look at his file and say, when they are going to be looking at our files, situation is bad here, but we have some opportunities for you, and that we can start, cleaning all of that and making your future look brighter. And, well, what are the possibilities? Well, you can come as a paraplegic person, you will have a lot of understanding in terms of being patient, in terms of, depending on the charity of others, and, or you can come as a medium it is. Oh my God, of course, I'm not going to come as a paraplegic, right? And then you come as a medium, and what you do with your mediumship? Or what are you going to do with the possibility of serving good and cleaning your file, Yeah, you don't do much. And this is how important it is for us to understand that. Mediumship above all is a precious instrument for our personal evolvement. And if we have this possibility, let's use it. It's neither an indication of sanctification, nor does it represent a divinatory characteristic. It simply constitutes a manner of entering into communication with souls who have previously lived on earth. The level of respect and intensity of devotion that mediums dedicate to the task is what will be used to appraise them. And neither magic formulas nor special rituals to lead to the blossoming of a mediumship will help. Sometimes we see here, come to this workout, like today. 2 hours workout with Jussara. I'm going to give you a certificate. You attended the mediumship course. You know everything about it. Like we said, it's something that it will take many incarnations for us to understand, and to especially to put it to a good use. So there are no magic formulas. I go to a guru session and then it's going to open my chakras, and all of a sudden I'm going to be communicating with spirits. It's not the way it happens. And the thing, again, like we said, we don't have to rush to have our faculties unfolded. We have to rush to make ourselves better, to be able to attune with the forces that we want to attune when the mediumship is unfolded. I don't want to be connecting with, crap wavelengths. I want, the good ones that are going to play good music, that are going to be leading me to learn, to grow, to console. And so this is why sometimes when they do this long courses in Brazil, like 3, 5, 10 years even for you before you are able to become a medium and to participate in a mediumship meeting. There are places that almost 10 years you have to repeat it again. Not that I agree with that, but in a way it serves the purpose of personal growth. If you manage to have patience enough to attend 10 years of mediumship course, definitely you will be growing, spiritually speaking, in experience, in learning. And chances are, of course, after 10 years, you're going to be a much better medium because you are working on a personal improvement in the same time. So, oftentimes, the individual is not always conveniently assisted as soon as his or her mediumship appears, either due to ignorance regarding the subject, which is in fact most common, or due to the disinterest or indifference of relatives and friends. It's hard because, sometimes people do not know. Many people, especially in countries that they do not have that much knowledge about, this kind of faculties, they will try to hide, not to talk to anyone with the fear of being labeled a crazy person. We have some Americans that have arrived to us in this condition. I mean, they were so relieved when they found that there were other crazy people in the world, that they were not alone. They said, "Oh my God, you see spirits too, you hear voice too. So I'm not the only one." And then they start learning about things. It was like we removed, with bringing the knowledge and the understanding to them, such a burden from their shoulders. And can you imagine how hard it is? Not long ago, a mother that attends our group came with her child, 10 years old. He was 10 already. And he was presenting some symptoms of mediumship. He was seeing things, he was hearing things, and it was clear that was actually mediumship. And this smart woman said, "I'll take you to talk to Jussara." And then she came to talk to me, brought her son. Can you imagine how the conversation went? A 10-year-old boy looking at me, not knowing me that much. He went there a few times for passes, but, and now he has to be there talking to me about those creepy things that is happening to him. And me, in my turn, I didn't know what to say to him. Because, our first reaction may be that of saying, "Hide. Don't tell anyone. Shut your mouth." But when we do that, what kind of message am I giving to this kid? We only hide what is not good, right? I'm telling him, this is something shameful. You have to hide from the world. So I was really in a dire strait. I didn't know what to do. What I was going to say to that boy, because I couldn't say, "Go and live happily with your mediumship," or hide that as if it was something that he had to be embarrassed of having. Thank God, I'm sure, 100% sure, the spirits came to my rescue. And then, because I also love, superheroes, it came to my mind to talk to the boy and said, "Yeah, do you like superheroes?" Yeah, I do. So finally the boy talked to me, because before it was just the mother saying something. And I said, "Wow, yeah, which one do you like better?" Spider-Man, Iron Man, Superman. And then, oh man. And then he said, I think was the one in fashion at the moment was Spider-Man. I said, "Oh, I love Spider-Man." I said, "But have you realized how superheroes work?" I said, "Yeah, wow, how superheroes work, You know that they have this special ability that only them have? How do they use those abilities? They use it to do good, to help people, right? Yeah, to help people. But do they tell everyone that, I am Spider-Man?" No, they don't tell anyone, because they don't want to brag about it. They wanted to do good just for the sake of good. They don't need to go to people and say, "I'm special. I'm more special than you are because I have this ability that you don't have." So, do the same with your... with the things that are coming to you. The boy left. They are so happy, and I'm happy too, because I didn't know where this came from. But I thank the Spirit so much, because this is something that we have to be careful when we are dealing with people that have no idea of what mediumship is and what it can entail, right? So, of course, at the beginning, we may have, or we may present even, conflicts, illnesses. Remember that I said when we start being, absorbing spirits start coming next to us, we start feeling their feelings. So it's not me that is ill, it's not me that is presenting the conflict, but it's the spirits that somehow are coming closer to me, and I still do not know how to deal with that, or I pay too much importance to that, and I will make it worse in a certain way. So it's only after suffering sometimes, much suffering, looking for anything you can look before you look for a spiritual approach, that many of these people can come to the Spiritist Center. What can happen when they come? Well, some of them will say, "You know what, I'm seeing things, but I don't believe in anything that is happening to me. I don't believe in mediumship. Please get rid of this from me. Remove this burden from me." You know what happens? We can't, right? If you have it, you have it. You signed the contract before you came back. So there is no possibility for us to return the package. You know, this is one time that we cannot return the gift. And so they present this incredulity, and they want it to be solved. And you say, you know, be patient and thanks. Because this is another beauty of mediumship. Why we have mediumship, and I'm going to stress that again, to help us to evolve, to use it for a charitable purpose, and then we help others as well. Suppose I have the gift, but I am so traumatized with anything spiritual, I don't want to use that gift. What is going to happen with me? Nothing. If you use your time wisely for good in a different way. Go work in a hospital, go work with orphanages, with prisons, because the purpose that I have that is for me to be charitable, is for me to grow from that experience. So if you use your time for good in a different aspect, you are not going to be suffering imbalances because you have the gift, but you are not using this gift. But if you do not do anything about it, then we cannot guarantee what's going to happen. You have an open channel, and if you do not connect with the higher forces, you're going to connect with the lower forces. But only if I do not commit myself to another kind of work for goodness. So this is very important for us to think about. But there are some that arrive completely happy and enthusiastic about, oh my God, I'm experiencing all those things and I want to learn everything. You know the one that I fear most? This one. Oh my God. Do you know, candle in the wind? Many times, unfortunately, they are candle in the wind. They come, you only have 3 times a week here. Please give me another address, because 3 times a week is not enough for me. I have to go every day. And they read all the books, and they, read, not understand necessarily, and they want to do everything. All of a sudden, the gas runs out, right? They start seeing that it's not possible for us to be 24/7 living in a Spiritist center. We have to take care of our material life. And people start saying, you're becoming too radical and this and that. And unfortunately, many of them, instead of coming to senses and deal with their spiritual life in a balanced way, they give up completely. So those are the ones that require much more assistance on our part. So how can we work and understand Spiritism? There is no better way for us than to have courses, studies in the Spiritist Center. We are going to understand why we are mediums, what mediumship is, how we can connect with spirits, everything that we need to know in terms of the development of a faculty in a healthy and safe environment. Good advice to mediums: educate yourselves. There is no other way for us to learn anything without applying our time to it. There is this book from Malcolm Gladwell that he says that if we wanted to be good in whatever we want to do, we have to put 10,000 hours before we were good in anything. So I made an account, if I do that 1.5 hours, I start thinking about 3 hours, and then I thought that it was too ambitious, for all of us. I said 1.5 hours a day that you are going to dedicate it to a spiritual study, not right. We are talking about 18 years. 1.5 hours a day. You can go 3 hours a day. It's just 9 years, okay? It's up to you. But it's important. Why is important? Everything that we have to do, I have to have the knowledge. I mean, I would have loved to be a surgeon in this lifetime. My mother didn't let me. I think I am the only mother that didn't want her child to be a doctor, Anyway, and just because I like it, because I watched so many ERs and other medical sitcoms, I can go there and just cut someone, and I saw it so much. No, we need the knowledge, we need the understanding, and Spiritism could not be different. To understand the Spiritism and to understand the impact that it has to come to us through Spiritism, there is no other way than to educate ourselves. We are almost finishing. Fight our addictions. And when we talk about addictions, we are actually talking about the mental ones as well. Everything that we can have in terms of imperfections, in terms of mind, soul, in terms of actions. The more we can combat them, the more we are going to be capable of actually feeling the difference in ourselves, to feel this evolvement. Learn to be good. This is an intriguing one. We still have to learn to be good. Because, from our past, it is still so much easier not to be naughty, right? It's who we are. It's what I'm comfortable in being. I mean, my first reaction sometimes is not necessarily going to be the reaction of the righteousness, but the reaction of someone that has lived so long in those, negative patterns. Now, to be good requires discipline, requires commitment, requires the study, requires understanding, requires tiring, right? It's really tiring. It's so much easier just to give ourselves to what we were than, to try to control our reaction, to try to change our emotions and our actions. So learn to be good. It's an exercise that sooner or later we will have to be doing, and this can be the moment. Read uplifting books every day. Of course, the more we try to connect with constructive ideas, which does not mean necessarily just the spiritual ideas. For those who have been watching that series Cosmos, have you seen Focus TV? You can see on demand. It's absolutely mind-blowing. It's fantastic. It has nothing to do per se with spiritual things, but it's something that is constructive, that educates you, that shows you the universe. I mean, actually, it's so spiritual. You can watch on demand. Now I'm here talking about, what the Cosmos on demand. It's absolutely fantastic. Of course, we are always going to emphasize the need to read spiritual things, but not only that, anything that can be really constructive for yourselves. And seek God through prayer. Through prayer is the channel that we have to connect with God, to connect with the good spirits, to move our antenna to the directions there for the spirits that we really want to learn. And Kardec is such a brilliant mind that after he writes the Spirit's book, the Medium's book, talks all about that, he says, you know what, Mediumistic phenomena is not important. And I love to use this phrase because we have to understand that mediumship serves a purpose. I'm not anyone just because I can be a medium. But I can be someone if I can use that tool to become a better person. And this is what Spiritism is all about. We were absolutely blessed with the opportunity of living in this time, in this century, where we can understand most of the concepts of Spiritism, where we have access to this knowledge. When we can open our minds, when we can open our hearts and try really to embrace this set of knowledge to be part of our daily lives. Mediumship is this precious tool that brought to us all this knowledge, that it still brings to us the experiences, the voices of the spirits telling about their lives, their experiences in the afterlife, to guide us and to show us how we should be conducting ourselves. So with all of that, we see how important it is for us to take this opportunity, to take this moment to do the best that we can. Nobody says that it's easy. We are actually in a moment of transition for ourselves. Like we said before, we were so accustomed to the darkness of our own souls. But now we still can see that there is a better way for me ahead, that there is light there. And no matter how I'm going to struggle, and I am, and we are, I want to go to that light. I don't want to be living in the darkness as well. It's my natural process. And places like that, the Spiritist Center is a blessing in the life of all of us, because we can find people that will have the same desire. We can motivate one another. We have a family, a spiritual family that can help us, in moments that we can dismay, that we can falter, that we may feel we are not capable of doing that, of going ahead. So this is the blessing of Spiritism. And this is how we have to be so much grateful to the spirits that have brought this to us. And of course, above all, to our Heavenly Father and to our brother Jesus. Because the dedication of those spirits, the dedication of our Master, having patience with us, understanding the limitations that we still present, is, what keeps us going. The love that we can feel around, the protection, the spiritual presence that we can feel around in a more or less ostensive way, but they are here. It doesn't matter what I can see them, what I can hear them. I know that they are here. I know that they are guiding us. I know that they are guiding our lives, that they are guiding our planet, and that we are going to be having a beautiful planet in the future, hopefully with us participating in it. Thank you so much. We have a little time for questions.
How did you get started?
In terms of mediumship.
Oh, yes, or interested even.
Okay. It's always, always when I give that, people say, you should talk more about yourself, and I always forget about it. To me, a mediumship, remember when we talked about spontaneous mediumship? It was always very spontaneous. I started seeing things and hearing things, but it never troubled me. And certain things that would be happening to me that I was always thinking that it was happening to other people as well. I never asked it, did you feel that as well? Do you see that as well? It was only the one time that brought a little trouble was that I was in a friend's house, and I was about 8 years old, perhaps not even that. And our parents had dinner together, and they went out, and we were the two of us with the babysitter. And so we were playing in the room, and I left to go to the bathroom, and all of a sudden see this man in front of me. I cried, I screamed like crazy. And I start screaming and screaming and screaming. And of course, how someone starts screaming. The two of them also start screaming because I say, there's a man. And I was screaming and screaming. We went up, the babysitter called the police. The police went home and looked at all the house. Everything was locked from the inside out. There was no man. There was no way someone was there. And, it was very embarrassing. And that time we didn't have cell phones, so at least we didn't have to call my parents at that moment. It was really embarrassing. I think it was the only time that I couldn't make sense out of it because, I saw so clearly that man there. I think it was the only time that actually, something that major happened. And after that, I started going to the Spiritist Center. My mom started taking me to the school for when I was 11. And from that point on, it was never something that was in the way. I was so eager to learn about everything. So I think in a way I was very blessed with what happened. I was a strange kid. I love it I was an expert in tarot, in reading cards, in reading palm, everything that was the occult, you name it, I was in there. I used it to make my, at that time, I used to make my own treatises on how to read cards. Because they have theirs, but I thought, theirs are not good enough. So I would be conducting research in the several methods, how to, interpret the cards and astrology, all of that. I went through all of that. But then it came to a point that I was already attending Spiritism, and I said, well, you know what, 10,000 hours. Where am I going? At that time, I didn't know about that, but that was my line of thinking. Where am I going to put my energy into? And I came to the conclusion that for me, the best way was to put all my energy in Spiritism. I couldn't embrace the world, and I thought that Spiritism so far was the best thing that I have seen. And then from that point on, I start removing, and I would see that, I could do your astral map, that is how it's called, and I would tell things about you, not because I was a very good astrologist, but because I was a medium. And then when I realized that I didn't have to go through all that, calculations and etc. to tell you, to do the readings, I stopped doing all of that, and of course the readings as well. Anyway, so that's what is a little bit of my story. Sorry?
Your parents, are they Spiritists?
My mother is a Spiritist. My grandfather was a Spiritist. But I am the black sheep in the house. I'm the true Spiritist. And my mother would be with me when she was around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You were mentioning earlier about the mediumistic faculties showing up in children. Has it been seen and even identified even in babies, like infants, even if they're not utilizing it? Has the faculty been identified in infants?
The only case that I know of is the case of the famous medium Ivone Pereira. When she was a baby, she got into a very deep trance, cataleptic trance, and they thought she was dead. Of course, at the time, no one could say that it was anything related to mediumship, only later, according to her possibilities and how many other times she got into this cataleptic trance. She realized it, and she knows about the story and everything, that she was displaying that since she was a baby, in her first days of life. But I've never heard anything about, babies. We know that up to the age of 7, they are still very much living in the spirit realm as well. And so they will have the invisible friend. But in this manner, and I mean, then with 4 years old, 5 years old, like Chico and Divaldo, but no, that's a baby, no, or like a toddler. Yes. But I'm sure, there are many faces in terms of mediumship. Like I say, when we are talking about subliminal mediumship, in terms of the thought, in terms of how we connect, that we all feel that so much in our everyday life, and we do not realize that it couldn't be different in the life of a baby as well, to feel somehow this presence, the energy, the protection, maybe even the communication somehow. But this is, a new discoveries for us in the future. Yes. Mm-hmm.
What happened when a medium that was going regularly, working in a mediumship meeting, and for one reason or the other, she or he has to not to participate anymore, either because of some prolonged illness or some moral problem, some marriage problem, whatever it is. What happened to this faculty? You know, I'm thinking like a faculty. I put a blind in my eyes for too long. My brain in that region, may shrink. What happened to this faculty if I don't use in a regular way or get disturbed by other problems?
I really like this topic because I really like to demystify things that we have, certain concepts or misconceptions that we have in relation to mediumship. One of them being, quite so often we hear people coming, I use it to participate in a mediumship meeting and I have to, do you have a mediumship meeting? And I have to attend because otherwise, something bad is going to happen to me or I'll go crazy. You know what? In the back of my mind, I'm thinking this person is never going to join my mediumship meeting because this is a lack of knowledge in relation to mediumship. Of course, we will be trying to teach the person to remove this erroneous concept from her mind, because sometimes it's so much easier just to say, you are a medium, you have to come to the mediumship, because if you don't come, something bad is going to happen to you. I don't want to explain. I don't want to, I wanted the fear. It's still an atavic reaction that we have from, you have to confess your sins and things like that. Something bad is going to happen. The thing is, as we emphasize it here, mediumship serves the purpose, and the purpose is for my personal growth and to use that to help for the greater good as well. If for one reason or another I cannot, in a certain phase of my life, be able to do that, to commit to this kind of work, which is actually much better than just to do in a lousy way, okay? We don't want to do that in a lousy way. It can be much more dangerous than you stopping completely, okay? So you will try to commit yourself to other works of good. And if this is a situation, a temporary situation in life, like, you have a new baby, all of a sudden, it's very hard for you to deal with all of that. Or, you have a job that is very demanding, or you having applied yourself to a 2 years doctorate. The spirits know that. If you're being working in a regular way, if you still try to conduct yourself in a right way, nothing is going to happen to you. Nothing is going, because it's a temporary situation that has a laudable excuse for you not to be doing that, or you can be committing to other kind of works that either in the Spiritist Center or outside the Spiritist Center, that is still a work for good. And many times we take that for granted, but to work for good in our own home is the greatest challenge that we can have. So you cannot go out, okay, now roll up your sleeves and go deal with, your actual brothers and sisters, mother and father, and try to have a peaceful relationship with them. And so there is no problem if we have to do that in a certain moment of our lives. We can move to a place that there is no mediumship meeting. What am I going to do? Oh my God, I cannot live in this city because there is no mediumship meeting. I'm going to go crazy. Lack of knowledge, lack of understanding of mediumship, lack of understanding what is the purpose of mediumship. I'll go do something else. One more question?
There are spiritualists that would have a high level like what we had, like Walden or even Zico, but they collect money for using their mediumship, like reading whatever you have in your very spirit or whatever you have, your past life or whatever.
They don't know better.
They don't have consequences happen to them. And spiritists, when they do that, that's a big consequences on their part.
Unfortunately, we do not have many time to go through that now, but I'm going to just tell you something. There are mediums and there are psychics.
Okay.
Mediums cannot charge. Psychics can. It's different. It's very difficult for us to understand the difference because the result is the same. I can come here to the center through the north road or through the south road. I reach the same point, and then because we analyze just the result, we don't see how the process of reaching here happened. The process of a medium is a different process of someone that has psychic abilities. Unfortunately, in a way, the word medium is so widespread, and people call themselves mediums without being mediums, but being psychics. Having said that, even if you are psychic, you are using your own possibilities. You are not translating the messages of a spirit that are working through you. Okay, and this is very hard to understand because, again, the result is the same. I can come here to Carol and say, your uncle that is in the spirit realm is telling me to tell you that he knows your little girl very much and she's going to be adorable and healthy. And I can come here to her and say, your uncle that lives in the spirit, stays in the spiritual realm, asked me to tell you that your daughter is going to be adorable and healthy. It's the same message, but it can be received in two different ways. One is mediumship, the other one is psychic phenomena. The mediumship never charge. Psychic phenomena is up to you. But like I said, having said that, even when you have this in a psychic phenomena, it's very rare for you to be working 100% just as a psychic, because we are surrounded by spirits. And you do not need to use this gift that could be bringing so much help and comfort to others as a way of exploiting your brothers and sisters. So sometimes I am invited to talk to people, to a group of people that is only spiritualist people, and they came with that answer, and God forbid I would say, don't charge it. I would be lynched, you know. But I say, what is the truth? I say exactly what I'm telling you, you know. If it's a psychic thing, you do whatever you want, but you don't need to be exploiting. You don't need to charge $2,000 for half an hour of a reading, you know, when you can charge $20. So it will be to, you know, their choice, and we have to understand that many people do not have this understanding, do not have the knowledge, do not know how to separate mediums from psychic, and they all put all together in the same bag and say everyone is a medium. It's not necessarily. I think we have run out of time. I don't know. It's a...
May I clarify?
Yeah.
A medium, think of it this way, we have medium, we have disk drives, we have flash drives, we have paper, pencil, television. Those are media. They are a channel of someone's ideas from one place to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the medium itself, you hear this all the time, the media, they criticize the media,
Mm-hmm.
television, whatever, internet, whatever. It's not the media, it's the people on the media. The media
Mm-hmm.
the medium is neutral.
Yeah.
And that's to be
Exactly.
a human medium has got to be difficult because you can't be biased, just like
Mm-hmm.
a CD, a disc at Office Depot
Mm-hmm.
has no bias, it's just a blank disc. Okay? As opposed to a psychic who is giving you a consultation, giving you his opinion and his evaluation of your situation.
Mm-hmm. With the possibilities, the what we call psychic phenomena or anemic phenomena that comes from the anima, that it's the soul of the own person, that is capable of somehow, some people are endowed with that. With magnetism is what we call also the clairvoyance. Clairvoyants are psychic, present psychic phenomena. Again, it doesn't mean because you have psychic phenomena you cannot be a medium. Divaldo is a psychic, has psychic phenomena. He is a medium as well. You can have both. Okay. Should I leave there? Okay.
Thank you, Jussara. Thank you.